Hey folks, it's Mr. Right here from the Bucs Zone. It's Victory Monday, and I wanted to share a theory that I developed late last week, probably Thursday or Friday, and it's got to do with why we lost to the Saints the way that we did, and it also kind of explains why the hell we just put up 46 points on the next division opponent. And I'm calling it the Jameis Winston Supremacy. It's a working title, but hey, uh, it's going to work for what I'm about to explain. So this is the Jameis Winston Supremacy. So in the offseason, we of course get Tom Brady and we get rid of Jameis Winston. We let him go, and Jameis takes a little bit, and he ends up going to the Saints. Now, one of the things that this did for the Saints was it gave them more clarity on our playbook. Every team in the NFL can develop, by looking at game film, can kind of guess another team's playbook just based off of game film. But when the Saints got Jameis Winston, I think he did a few things for them to give them a distinct advantage when they play us. Number one is Jameis Winston knew the playbook inside and out. Now, one of the features of Bruce Arians' offense is that the quarterback reads the defense and makes the call and has to figure out the routes the receivers are running. But here's another part, and Carson Palmer talked about this early last year. The wide receivers also have to read the defense and then know which route they're supposed to run versus the coverage they're getting from the defensive backs. So that's a little harder to figure out, I think, in the Bruce Arians playbook. Gives it a little bit more unpredictability because one play they could be showing one coverage and the wide receiver is going to run two routes and he's going to pick the route that's correct. And then the next play, the different coverage could come in and he's going to pick the other route. So it's a little harder to figure out the playbook. But you can still figure it out over time. Anyway, so Jameis Winston, as the quarterback of the Bruce Arians system, had to know not only how to read the defense for himself, but he had to know which routes the receivers were supposed to run for the coverage. So I think that Jameis gave the Saints the specific wide receiver route breakdown for the Bruce Arians offense, as well as something else. I think Jameis Winston also gave the Saints the specific play calling of our offense, how we call plays. And it gave them even that much more of an advantage rather than, okay, I think they're going to be running this play, let's do this coverage. So that's one part of it. Now, the other part is, I think because Jameis Winston was our quarterback and practiced against our defense for a year, he was able to give Drew Brees and the offense specific defensive player tendencies, with the exception of maybe a few, specifically maybe Antoine Winfield Jr., because Antoine wasn't in the defense last year. But I think he was able to do it with all the other defensive players. And so that's why the Saints were so effective against us, because we basically just saw what we're capable of on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. And so that's the Jameis Winston supremacy. I think he gave them very specific stuff on our offense and our defense. So that's why we're able to drop 46 on the Panthers and only three on the Saints. And here's something else. Think back to the first game against the Saints. The first game and the second game against the Saints were basically our two worst offensive performances. And we were only 4 plays shy in the first game of actually keeping it even. But they didn't have enough film on us yet to make the proper adjustments. And I think last week they had about half a season's worth, and that was all that it took. So anyway, that's my theory.